Oh, we got a happy Perry Orth here in the All South Federal Credit Union Studios, former Gamecock quarterback and longtime friend and roommate of one Hayden Hurst, giving us
former roommate.
You don't think that situation is going to continue?
No, unless he lets me come live in Baltimore with him, which I might do. But
that's a good gig right now, right? Just being part of the entourage.
Yeah, I tell you what, DJ Swearinger and Melvin Ingram, they kind of got a little crew. They call it the YPC crew. I don't know exactly what it means, but it's like they say, if one eats, we all eat. So I'm hopefully Hayden will adapt to that mentality.
I have a buddy who, through a long connection, has a friend that's on the money team for Floyd Mayweather, and they were so you need to. That's what y'all need to have, the Garnet Thor team.
Yeah, well, I'll when he gets back.
What are you going to bring to the table? Is the question. What does your resume look like?
Oh, wait a minute. Rich, have you seen Entourage?
No, I have not.
Okay, all right. I was going to say you've seen Entourage.
I am going to provide him with the most high quality insurance that he's ever seen.
Oh, well done, sir. That is impressive.
I didn't know if he was going to be, what is it, Turtle?
No.
Was it Turtle off of
He's
Entourage?
Definitely not Turtle.
You got to watch. Entourage was really good.
We're so old.
I'm pretty sure Hayden could afford to buy you now the season set or the multiple seasons that you can watch it.
I agree.
So where were you last night watching? I assume you were watching this thing, right?
Yeah.
And what was your reaction like? Take us through that.
It just was surreal to have, right before they picked him, they were saying, the Ravens, they were kind of doing the breakdown because I was watching on ESPN.
Right, same here. So he had come up maybe around, I think the Cowboys pick at 19 was the first time his name popped up.
That's when I pulled out my Instagram story and started recording each pick just in case. Nice. Right at 19 is when I was ready to go. But, they kind of gave like a warning basically when the Ravens GM, they gave that whole background on him. He was a tight end. They're like, I could really see him taking a tight end. They went on and on about Hayden, and you just kind of had a feeling that it was time. And I knew that Hayden had talked with them a lot, and that he was really excited about them, and they were about him. So it was really cool to see that happen. I mean, you never think that one of your best friends is ever going to be taking the NFL draft, let alone the 25th pick, correct?
Mm-hmm.
First round. I mean, that's an unbelievable moment.
Did you know him? You didn't know him prior to when he was drafted with the. I know he's a little bit older than you.
They go back to high school days.
No, we go back.
So you knew him back when he got drafted.
Yeah,
don't remember the double date story?
Yeah. Come on now.
Come on.
So Hayden, I remember texting Hayden when he got drafted by the Pirates. I remember exactly where I was when I texted him. I was like, man, this is unbelievable.
But that was a much different type of deal. He was hoping to go in the first 2 rounds and ended up going the 17th round. Right?
Yeah, I knew that he had kind of fallen off a little bit. But that being said, it was still really cool for that to happen, and then for him to now transition to the NFL. I don't think you hear of many stories like that. I mean, not drafted and then went wrong and then drafted again, but it wasn't like he was, kind of an average baseball player and then, a free agent. And he was a projected top round baseball pick in first round football. I mean, you don't hear of people like that.
I think Chris Winkie is about I'm trying to think of real quick anybody else. Do you remember Chris Winkie? That's kind of a guy from your
Florida State.
Yeah, you're right. And Winkie went pretty high. I think a first round guy.
Yeah,
obviously.
In football. Are you talking about baseball? I don't know.
Baseball, I think he was pretty high, but I think football, he was a first or second rounder as well.
Mm-hmm. But he was a lot older. He was like 29.
Right.
Hayden. I mean, the thing is, Hayden is the age of what a 6th-year senior would be.
Right.
So, I mean, people are like, oh, yeah, he's old. It's like, he's not really that old. He's 24 years old. I mean, there's guys that are 22. I mean, what's the difference?
And his baseball story is completely different than most minor league baseball stories.
Yeah.
Where you toil around for a couple of years and you put up some stats and they're just not that great and you figure that you have a better future the other way. One minor league game, I think, is what he got in.
Yeah, it was funny because we kind of lost track when he went down there and I came up here a little bit. And I didn't realize it got to that point where, he couldn't even play. So when he got to South Carolina, I thought that he was just sick of baseball, which he was, but I thought he was just, he was burnt out of it, was done, didn't really want to do it anymore, and was coming to play football. I didn't realize that it got that bad until he got here. Then, of course, as I got to know him, he told me about what all had happened and everything like that. And he used that as motivation.
Sure.
A lot of people, and I wanted to put it up, on social media, but a lot of people don't know this. And in his bedroom, he has a letter from the NFL from last year when they sent in his grades saying the NFL told him that he needed to return to college. And he had it sitting right in front of his bed. Every morning when he woke up, he would see that. For now 2 years, he's had the NFL logo as his background on his phone. Now, think about 2 years ago, he had, 10 catches that first year? I mean, he hadn't really played yet, but that's what his goal was. His goal was to make it to the NFL, was to be a first-team All-SEC, be a first-round pick, be the first tight end taken off the board. And to see him do that, I mean, it's true, man. If you have obviously you have to have the ability, but if you do and you put your mind to it and you set a goal and you do everything you can to go after it, as cliche as it sounds, you can do it. I mean, he's living proof. I mean, he was from the bottom of the bottom playing baseball. Now he's at the top of the top.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He's living proof in football now. He was the exact opposite of that story in baseball, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure he put in, I mean, I've read the stories where he'd end up in tears.
Yeah.
Because it was so frustrating. It was just gone.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, man. And to see, what he's done, I mean, he completely made a 180. He stopped, he'd go out with us and have a good time, but he stopped drinking. He stopped doing all that stuff. I mean, he went from, I'm going to make it to the NFL. I don't know if it's going to be a first round, but then, after he started playing a little bit, he decided he's like, I am going to be the first tight end taken off the board when I leave.
I kind of brought this up right before you came in about statistically what he did at South Carolina. His best day, I think that's one thing you just mentioned. He's the age of a 6-year senior. His best days are really ahead of him.
Oh,
I mean,
like
we kind of discussed that when y'all were in here, that his football knowledge is still very raw when it comes to the actual game, because he's only played it for about 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, at a high level,
right,
or a higher level besides like your youth football stuff. Yeah,
right, he only played his junior year in high school, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, his best football is ahead, and then now he's going to get into the NFL where they love tight ends. I thought for sure New Orleans was going to take him. I went through to him when they came up here, and he said if he's available, we're going to take him. Well, they ended up trading up, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of shocked by that, but then he also told me that Baltimore was high on him. So,
I'd seen in a mock draft he was projected at 16 to the Ravens, and so when they came back around at 25, I thought that was where I was. Y'all were talking about what they started setting it up with Ozzie Newsome and everything, and I was like, nah, I think Baltimore. So, we were talking about it. I think if you were to, and I don't know if Hayden feels this way, and I don't know if he'd say it publicly, but if you were to pick 4 or 5 organizations that you feel comfortable with, that are stable organizations that are run well from the top down,
don't
with
tell
coaches.
Us the Jaguars either. We don't want to hear that.
Yeah, but I felt like Baltimore. I feel like he couldn't have landed in a better spot. I mean, maybe you could say the Steelers because the way that organization is run. I do think the way the Chiefs organization is run is generally well thought. Baltimore's right up there as high as any of them.
They do have a good thing going on, and Joe Flacco's a good quarterback. Now he's not Tom Brady, obviously, but it will be special to see what they do with him and Lamar Jackson. Right. Because Flacco is getting older. I'm not saying he's getting ready to retire in 2 or 3 years, but if he starts really not progressing and taking the team to where they think they can go, you're going to start hearing the Lamar calls, and Lamar's going to be he's obviously an unbelievably talented guy, and to see what he's going to do at the next level will be interesting. To have a guy like Hayden to throw to will be even better. And the way the NFL uses tight ends is so much different than how we used him here. I mean, as you guys know, he should have had 5, 6, 7, 8 catches every single game. Touches, at least.
I asked him, and you might have heard this, so you might already know the answer. How many touchdowns Hayden had at South Carolina? You probably know.
Is it 3?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that happen? You have a first-round NFL pick.
3 total in 3 years. I mean, I'm with you on that. And a rushing touchdown. A rushing touchdown.
3 catches.
And the worst part is we knew he was going to do this, and he had 2 in one game. Or no, because he had
the Arkansas and I think
so he had 1 big play and then 2 in the Missouri. I mean, that play that we threw to him against Kentucky in 16, that little tunnel screen where he caught it and ran. Why did we not do that at least once a drive?
I think that's what a lot of Gamecock fans would like to know right now.
That's why there's a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Without going down that road, I think but it is, and that's why I say you look back at his stats, and I'm not trying to blame the coaching staff, and I'm certainly not blaming Hayden, but I think it's going to be one of those things as he gets into the NFL and has a career, people are going to go, wait a minute, what did we miss?
Jared Cook, pretty similar.
Well,
right?
that's what I said. Jared Cook, and you mentioned Marcus Robinson, and
maybe you can explain to us, Perry. But for the non-experts out there, how is it that much different from the NFL perspective using tight ends, and why can't it be that way in college?
I don't know. They just seem to, because if you think about a tight end, they provide a mismatch, no matter who covers him, right? You have a safety come down, he's going to be undersized a little bit. Or you put a corner on him, he's going to get bullied, right? You put a linebacker, he's not going to – Hayden runs what did he run, a 4.6 something? Right. Now, there's not a lot of linebackers out there that can run with that. And still, how many linebackers are 6'5", 250 pounds? Right. So it provides that mismatch, and then, the corners at the next level are really, really good. So they can take away, the receivers a little bit, kind of like what they do in New England. I'm not saying the receivers are bad, obviously, but with Gronk, you see there's so many different things that they can do, throwing those high balls down the middle of the field that are 7 feet off the ground that a 5'11", 6-foot safety can't get to with his back turned. Gronk's just going to reach his arms up and catch it. Well, Hayden's the same thing, so it provides a lot. And he's a big target. When you're throwing to a small receiver, you got a little target to throw to. When you got a big dude like that, you got a big target to throw to, so you can maybe miss right, left, high, or low, or whatever. So they for some reason they really do like to throw the ball in the middle of the field more in the NFL, and that's where the tight end really comes into play.
You touched on the Lamar Jackson situation. Obviously, the quarterback's the headline of the draft overall last night. You got plenty of insight on a guy like Baker Mayfield walking on and then having a bunch of success. Want to hear your thoughts about him and the other quarterbacks when we come back. Also, much more, of course, about Hayden Hurst getting drafted with the Baltimore Ravens last night. Former Gamecock quarterback Perry Orth joining us, All-South Federal Credit Union Studios. Now former roommate Hayden Hurst, the 25th overall pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Broken that down a lot in the first segment. I want to get your take on our poll question today, and I think it's the national discussion. Did the Browns make a good pick taking Baker Mayfield number 1? Yes or no? You got to go yes or no. What do you think?
Yes, I think they did.
You're a Mayfield guy. You're a believer.
I'm a believer, yeah. So I didn't think that they were going to take him, but I don't think it was a bad choice. I think that he is one of those guys that is a playmaker, and he doesn't have the ideal height, but at the end of the day, a guy that's 6'2" or 6'3", I mean, can you really see over anyone that's 6'5" anyway? So, no, you can't.
Now, do you feel like you're a little biased, being a former walk-on yourself, about the same
No,
same
not
height?
former walk-on, but I do know, being 6 feet tall and having played, that, whether you're 2 inches taller than me, you're still not going to be able to see someone that's 5 inches taller than you.
Right.
Okay, you're a quarter. You got your training that you do. I don't know how much you can speak to watching Josh Allen, Josh Rosen. Obviously, you've seen Lamar Jackson. You probably watched Baker Mayfield. How did you going in? If Perry Orth was to have a big board at your home, how would you rank? How would have you ranked the top 5 those 5 quarterbacks in what order?
I would have probably I really like Sam Darnold. I think that he's a really good football player. I think last year he got kind of in the Jameis Winston thing that he did. He had a really big sophomore year, and then going into his junior year, he was trying to press. He was trying to be the number 1 pick, and that kind of got into his head, in my opinion, a little bit. But as far as athletic ability and talent and all that good stuff, I probably would have went Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and then Josh Rosen, and then
Josh Allen last.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
Okay.
Darnold's actually, he was a sophomore, redshirted, but he actually played quarterback 1 year in high school. He'd been a linebacker and a center
right? Yeah.
prior. Played 1 year of quarterback at high school. Went to Southern Cal redshirted, and only played a freshman. Had the big freshman year, and that was his sophomore year and left. He's got upside. I mean, It's interesting to hear you say that regarding why you like him, and it kind of like with Hayden still kind of learning the game. I think Sam Darnold's in the same boat.
I agree. I mean, if you think back, obviously we all remember Jameis Winston. He had that unbelievable freshman year, came out as sophomore year, still played really well, but he had a lot of turnovers because he was trying to be the Heisman and jam balls into windows that couldn't get done. And that happens when you put that pressure on yourself. But as far as ability, he's tall, can run. He's got a really good arm on him. Seems like a really good guy. I like Josh Rosen's confidence. I think it's cool for him to. But last night I saw he's like, I got 10 bad decisions in front of me or whatever. I'm like, dude, you are not that good in college. You have a ton of upside. You do. But what did you do? You guys went 7-5, 6-6. I mean, you weren't that special. Whether you were the number 1 guy coming in out of high school. Now, he does throw the heck out of the ball. I mean, he, as far as mechanics and pocket work, he is as pure as you can get. But, that's not all to playing quarterback.
Sure.
You got to be able to lead your team and do all that good stuff. And I don't know him personally. I'm not knocking him because he's still a first-round pick and he's an unbelievable talent. But for him to say, like, over the next decade that he's going to do this and that, I just...
You don't like that. You don't like. We talked about that earlier. We kind of both agree. We like the confidence. I don't mind him saying it.
No, I understand what you're saying. Do you feel like you're okay with that attitude as long as it doesn't come out publicly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the problem
have
here?
That attitude. Everybody that isn't drafted number one should be like, I want to prove them wrong, and I want to get out there, and over the next decade, I'm going to do it. But to say it publicly, because now when you fall on your face, you're going to look like a moron. So I just don't like that. So. That being said, going back to my big board, I think the Josh Allen kid is an unbelievable talent, probably the most talented NFL quarterback, quotation mark, that's in this draft. But he played at Wyoming, and that's not that he's not good, but then when he did play those bigger schools, I think somebody told me he had 1 touchdown and 8 picks, and something brutal like that. And, I mean, I'm just telling you from past experience, when I would play – the top-level teams, either like the Floridas and the Clemsons compared to the ECUs or any other schools like that caliber of school, I mean, it was a completely different game. For me, seeing the defense as far as speed, athleticism, everything they did, it was night and day different. And for him to go from, playing in the Mountain West to then playing those big schools, it's going to be interesting to see what he does, but he'll also have better talent around him, so I'm interested to see how he'll adjust with that too.
Does that make you more impressed with what Carson Wentz was doing?
Yeah. No, I had the same concern, not that he couldn't do it, because even when he did play big schools, he dominated,
Right.
So, Carson Wentz, not that he proved me wrong like I'm this big guru, but he did show that he could compete at that level, and that's something that everybody has a concern with when a guy's playing at a lower tier school, is if he can compete with the speed of the game, and Carson Wentz obviously did. I mean, he's going to be one of those Hall of Fame guys, in my opinion.
Your rankings there, you had Lamar Jackson smack in the middle. I think that's higher than most people, and obviously higher than the organizations last night anyway. Why are you so high on him? The knock is, and Bill, you mention it all the time, the run-first concerns.
Yeah, and I thought this past year he really did a better job of pass-first. I remember I watched, I didn't watch a ton of Lamar Jackson. I did watch one game he was playing, I believe, North Carolina. They had his highlight going on, the same play over and over again. But, he had a protection breakdown, slid out of it, stayed in the pocket, stood up, and threw an absolute bean down the middle of the field for a touchdown. And that was when I was like, wow, this kid is a quarterback. And to have that also, that Michael Vick running ability, I could see him being very similar to Mike Vick, to be honest. I mean, that would be really cool to watch for all the different teams that are out there.
Yeah, that's interesting that we go more Robert Griffin III analogy with him.
No way. No, he's Mike Vick 2.0.
Well, I mean, Robert Griffin III was basically Mike Vick his rookie year, right? Until he gets hurt, and then he can't quite do the same thing on the field. Very interesting breakdown from you. We appreciate all the insight, man. QB1athletics.com, the place to go for Perry's tutelage if you're a younger quarterback out there. It's just a fun word to say. And so you are a guru of some sorts, teaching the kids.
Working on it.
We appreciate all the insight today, man. And wow, Hayden Hurst,
unbelievable
entourage. He's not. Who's the guy? Was it Kevin? Is that the other guy? Right? Is that his name? The one that had the girlfriend the whole time. That's who.
That's Perry. Yeah,
he's the manager type.
Get Hayden to purchase you the entourage. You'll like it.
Yeah, well, good deal. Appreciate you guys having me on.
He's Perry Orth.